Hello everybody, my name is Philip, I'm a filmmaker, and today we're going to talk about this massive news from Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. A huge amount of information, interviews. We're going to go through it. We're going to look at it together, and it seems that the story is not going to change in Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is something I've been saying all along. They're saying it's also not going to change in Crisis Core, but they're also saying that Zack is a big key character in the story. So there's like these huge talking points. There's a lot of information to delve into and kind of interpret in these interviews. So I'm excited to do that with you guys. But before we do that, I want to talk to you guys about today's video's sponsor, MJ Gallagher's book, Norse Myths That Inspired Final Fantasy VII. A fantastic piece of literature, educational, entertaining. If you guys haven't heard of MJ Gallagher, he's a massive, awesome part of the Final Fantasy VII community, a good buddy of mine, and he wrote this great book, which is an education piece on Norse mythology, and also, you know, explains how it inspired all of the sort of iconography, the summons. We have Fenrir here on the cover from Advent Children, all these awesome Norse references that made their way into the game and the movie and the successive games, right? So it's a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of Greek mythology, but Norse has always been a bit of a weaker spot for me. So this is super fun to get into. And don't fear if you're, afraid to jump into mythology. It can be a bit intimidating, I know, sort of literary level that it tends to be very dense. He's written it and presented it in a very digestible way. It's also very entertaining, and it does a great job. If you haven't played FF7 original in a long time, he actually recaps like the entire story of Final Fantasy VII and all of the compilation in here to kind of catch you up to speed, and then give those comparisons and teaching the mythology, throughout. So it's fantastic. Can't say enough about it. Please check this out. Links in the description on YouTube. Norse Myths That Inspired FF7. Check out MJ Gallagher on Twitter. Fantastic person. Great part of the community. So thanks MJ for sponsoring. Check out the book. This is on Audrey's Twitter. If you guys don't know Audrey, she's awesome. She translates a lot of stuff. Another great member of the community. Who's done so much for us all, right? Interviewer asks, do you plan on making other remakes from the compilation? For example, Dirge of Cerberus. Vice and Nero's voices were in Crisis Core FF7, and they also appeared in FF7R Integrade. Will they make another appearance? Nomura says, our staff really wanted to do a remaster of Dirge of Cerberus as well as before Crisis FF7, but after taking into consideration the costs of doing so, we do not have plans at this time. We wanted them to show up in Final Fantasy VII Intergrade because we wanted all of the FF7 titles to be connected with a common world. They also appeared as a formidable boss, so that's why we decided on that. I love what he said there. They want all the compilation to be part of a connected and common world. That's a super cool way to word it. And it's kind of what we've been saying. It's kind of like a revision. Like I keep, all of this information, all these characters exist in the Final Fantasy world, and they're revising it into one more cohesive story instead of like, here's the original, and then here's Crisis Core tacking out a bunch of new characters, and then here's Dirge of Cerberus tacking out a bunch of new lore and characters. It's been slowly expanding in a great way, the lore of these games. It has been expanding in a great way, but now there's a lot of stuff that does feel disjointed. And what they're doing so well is they're going back and they're gluing it together in a cohesive way, in a comprehensible way, in a way that feels right and feels part of the world. If you want to question this, again, check out Intergrade, man. I've been saying this since day one. Look at, and when we had Sean Chiplock on the stream, the voice of Nero, fantastic actor. We had him on the stream, and like, this character in Dirge of Cerberus is this big, like, hammy, crazy character, like larger than life character. It's the same with Vice and Nero. And it's not to say they're bad at all. They're great, fun characters, but they did feel a little bit more big than a lot of the FF7 stuff, which tends to be somewhat grounded. And they did a perfect thing. They meshed it together, the two styles, and I personally think they nailed it. I think it feels so right, the way they did it. So that's just my opinion, of course. It's all connected. Yeah, exactly. It's all connected, which is awesome. I like the new mystery that they're introducing. Feel most creators feel more invested in the creator. Yeah, exactly. And we're going to get into that more. I've said this since day one, my reaction, and I think they are doing my sort of like have your cake and eat it approach, which I've been hoping the entire time, and I've been assuming they've been doing the other times. It makes the most sense. So we'll get into it as we go in. But let's continue the interview. And you guys can read along as we go. Interviewer says, I see. Let's talk about Ff7 Ever Crisis. We saw a younger Sephiroth with shorter hair at the end of the trailer, correct? Nomura says, that's right. Since FF7 The First Soldier's World is also included, there will be an episode regarding First Soldier as well. Hey man, I've been saying it, right? My Sephiroth theory may actually come true. I think the creators of FF7 actually watched my video. No, it's probably been playing for a long time, but I think we're actually going to get what I wanted here too. A full Sephiroth heroic backstory. How he became the strongest warrior on Earth. How he got the Masamune. The story of the Masamune. It's all very exciting. My sort of Iliadic idea, Greek mythology idea I've had for all this time. I am so excited, man. I am so excited for that. So there it is. We're going to get that. Very exciting. Regarding First Soldier, yeah, it's going to be great. Let's move on to Ff7 Rebirth now. Interviewer says, we see Cloud and Sephiroth walking together. And then that's a scene from Cloud's flashback, right? Nomura says, yes, that is correct. Disproving a lot of people who thought, you know, this is crazy. This is after the end of FF7. This is alternate timeline. Sephiroth is an ally and stuff. It's the flashback. Thank goodness. That's a lot better to me personally. Due to some rules regarding what info we can show, the UI has a portion of it that's turned off. This made some people think that it's a new scene, but I just wanted to clear this up. Yeah, don't worry. It's part of that. Yeah, we're on Audrey's Twitter right now. If you guys don't know Audrey, Jedge has said it. Yeah, exactly. That's her other name on Twitter. She's great. She translates a lot of stuff. So please check her out too. Let's move on to Ff7 Rebirth. Oh, I already asked that. Kitase says the mountains in the background are very distinct, so I hope it allows you to recall the original's location. Right, so Mountain Eyeball, there it is. In the original, Sephiroth joins your party and fights with you in the flashback. Will that happen again? Please wait for more information regarding that. I think it's happening. Get ready for that. We don't want to spoil it. In that scene with Sephiroth, you can see that the distance to the destination is quite far. It seems like the maps are extremely huge. I can't talk about that much yet, but it is very vast, he says. I hope you can also recall the original as well. Once you left Midgar, you had a feeling of, well, where do we go now? Love that feeling. They really seem to be in touch with this feeling of the original. And a lot of people kind of have said, oh, they've lost touch with the original. I think they really haven't. Again, look at Wall Market, you know, look at those moments where they just nailed the feeling of the original. And that's the most important thing, the feeling of it in pretty much a completely different medium at this point, right? With all the detailed stuff they can do. And I think it's really important to note just how different it is. With such a vast world that opens up for you, anyone would be excited to start on their journey. In the trailer, we also see Zack carrying Cloud on his shoulders as they make their way back to Midgar. Yes, we hope that FF7 Rebirth will give you that feeling of opening up to the journey. Zack is a key character in this game. Please look forward to it. So that's another big talking point. Zack is a key character in this game. Very interesting, and we're gonna keep reading. The amount of effort and love that they put into it has always been enough for me, and I haven't felt the need to ask for more sort of like personal. I would say more personal, almost like headcanon stuff. If that makes sense. For me, it's always been good because I know it's their vision, and as an artist, that is worth its weight in gold to me. It's the same creators. So let's check this out. Page 2. I'm sure there are different possibilities regarding that scene and really makes you theorize. Well, since you mentioned there will be 3 parts, where exactly will FF7 Rebirth cover? This is a great question. We've been talking about this since day one. Let's see what he says. Nomura says, we have not announced until recently how many parts this story will be, as we actually were considering whether to do it in 2 or 3 parts. That is so mind-boggling. The fact that they were going to do it in 2. Can you imagine if it was like, you know, wow, It's been a bit since they've released the info. I wonder if it's going to be 4 parts, 3 parts, 5 parts. And they came out and they're like, there's only 1 more part. It's almost done. It's crazy that that almost happened, isn't it? Wow. That would have been like a kind of a Giga Chad move. But at the same time, I'm happier, I feel, with a trilogy. Everybody loves a trilogy. And I think there is, I would say, in the opposite way of the Hobbit trilogy of movies, there actually is enough stuff in here to explore and to kind of delve into. So I think it's good. I think it's justified. What's up, Ju10? Their answer to this almost certainly confirms the game is going to end in the Northern Crater. I think it would be perfect. I really do think it'd be perfect. Ju10. Let's keep reading. Only 2 parts? Since Ff7 only covered Midgar, it left us with the impression there might be 3 or even 4. The original game was only on 3 discs, like the international version on 4. As far as the Northern Crater prediction, I mean, I've been saying that for a long time now. I've been saying that for probably around a year, with the idea of it's a perfect bookend to part 2 if you open part 2 with a version of the Nibelheim story, Cloud's version, and then we end this game with another version of the story, right? I think it's perfect bookend. Just like Midgar's perfect first act, that's a great second act. So if they do that, that would be awesome, because man, we've been discussing this for a long time. Definitely. The equivalent of The Empire Strikes Back. Yes, it really would be the equivalent of Empire Strikes Back, because think about it. All the stuff that happens with boom, Forgotten City, boom, leading into Northern Crater, like it is every part of this sort of like, you know, put these characters at their most conflicted point, and then come around in part 3 and let us kind of build back up. I think it'd be so good. My prediction was City of the Ancients. Yeah, I feel like most people said City of the Ancients, and then even more people than that said Nibelheim. So I think personally, and I've said this again for probably about a year, that bookend idea. So we'll see how right we are, but we're planning on 3 parts in mind. Okay, here we go. So Nomura says we started planning with 3 parts in mind, but there was a time when Kitase suggested we actually divide it into 2 parts. Very surprising. It was one of the ideas I had among the many different ideas we were tossing around. Kitase gets some crazy ideas, right? When we were planning FF7, it was difficult to see exactly how much manpower it would take, but after completing FF7, we had a much better picture of how much manpower and what type of schedule it would require. That's why I had a thought that we might be able to reach the end, even with the next installment. I mean, hey, you can't blame them for considering that. It's ballsy to consider that, though. Yeah, characters are the lowest, exactly. Nomura says, at the moment, we do not plan to do more than a trilogy. However, since FF7 only took place in Midgar, people might be worried that the remaining 2 installments will have too much content and we might have to omit something. Rest assured, we will not condense things, as each installment has a lot to offer. That's awesome. Again, this is the opposite of like The Hobbit, where they stretch that thing so it's literally a children's book about like a relatively simple story. They stretched it so thin that, man, you could see it splitting apart. There's nothing there. They're making up stuff. It was really weird. I love Kitase always proposed the craziest ideas. Yeah, which is hilarious because everybody thought it was always Nomura, and then Nomura's the guy who like reins it in. We got this in 2. We need more power. Yeah, exactly. Anyways, the amount of content to cover after leaving Midgar is a lot, so we're looking forward to it. The game will be released next year in the winter. That's amazing. So that's very soon. It will only be about a year and a half away, so before that, we will also have Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, and FF7 Ever Crisis. There's also FF7 The First Soldier, which is already available. Yes, that's right. I did not want fans to just wait patiently for FF7 Part 3, so I wanted to allow fans to continue enjoying the world of FF7 and connect them to the trilogy. Our staff are doing their best, so we really hope you can look forward to the game. Kitase says the basic part of FF7 Rebirth has been completed. That's incredible. And now we're to mass production. Progress of the game. So hey, listen, it sounds like what they said with FF16. It's like we've done most of it. I think it was about like a year or 2 ago. They're like, now we're working on like, you know, they finished the story. We're working on polishing. We're working on other stuff, boss battles and whatnot. But this is very good. Now, I think this might actually be it. There's like more interviews that came out besides the Famitsu one here on Audrey's Twitter. We'll scroll up and just take a look quick. Before we move on, what's this? Nomura has an interview about 7R, mentions the events of the story will not change. Yes, this is sort of the big one. This is the big one right here. So I don't know if I can show this. I'm gonna try and like stretch it appropriately. Let's do that so you guys can see. Okay, so will Crisis Core FF7 Reunion have a different ending? Nomura says there will be no changes to the events of the story. The original is consistent with both FF7 and FF7R, so there are no worries there. Massive, massive thing to read. Somebody says, wait, but then what about that scene in, I guess even if I try to dig for answers, you can't answer them, right? What I can say is that the Buster Sword design was changed to be consistent to the remake version. Thank goodness. It was ugly in the golden, gaudy one when the original game was released, so it was close to the Advent Children release. So that's why the design took on the one from Advent Children. As such, Crisis Core FF7 Reunion's Buster Sword is designed with the original and FF7R in mind. Beautiful. Beautiful to see. To the Crisis Core title, that word itself is an important keyword within FF7. It seems like a word that would be the next part of the remake trilogy after FF7 Rebirth. But what were your intentions of using the word for Crisis Core instead? There are a few different reasons as to why we chose that word. At first, we were stuck on whether we should simply call it a remaster, but in the end, we decided on that word to align with the remake trilogy with the words remake and rebirth. The word reunion means reuniting, seeing each other again, and instead of a meaning like being reborn, we thought that something along the lines of growing up and coming back would fit with that title. Chronologically, the story is a prequel, but I also made sure that would reunite and also connect with 7 Remake. Man, the thought they put into this stuff is really refreshing too. The thought of, you know, titling, it's not just like a phoned in, cool sounding title. It actually makes a lot of sense. Look who it is. Look who it is. We have a special secret guest. I won't say who it is. You recognize that laughter? It's Kitase. With the announcement of FF7 Rebirth, I think the part that's most intriguing to fans is Zach. Will the FF7 Rebirth story change greatly than the one from the original game? Wow, they just come out and ask it. Nomura says the story's axis will not change. There you go, he said it again. That's like the 20th time in interviews. Regarding this new mystery that is different than the original game, I'm sure that those who played the original will enjoy a fresh experience while playing Rebirth. How wrong. How wrong Nomura was about some people. I love it. And I think almost everybody loves it. I would say upwards of 90% of people love it. There's a massive influx, or I should say this. I would say upwards of 90% of people who actually played Remake love it, who are fans. Because they start playing, they're like, oh, this is my favorite game remade. People who, you know, spread misinformation after playing it and said, oh, this game is Kingdom Hearts 4. It's not Final Fantasy 7. They changed the entire thing. The game is totally different. Literal misinformation, not confirmed, made stuff up, is completely wrong. Completely wrong, and you know, and projecting whatever fear of the unknown. That definitely spooked a lot of fans and confused a lot of fans to lying, and they didn't play it because they thought, oh, the whole thing is different, and like, you know, instead of going to Walmart, you go to Walmart and you get attacked by like a crazy drunken lady wearing like booty shorts and stuff. That's just what they thought. So. The ending shocked me. I was in utter tears. Yeah. The interview just shows they care and they're gonna crush it. Yeah. This interview, man, I've been saying it every single time. Like every new thing that comes out. If you had any doubts, this just destroys doubts, right? The story's axis will not change. On that note, there will be some changes regarding the progression of the game. For example, when playing the game, you might think, wait, did that location get cut out? However, that's because the composition of the trilogy might be why certain places are not visited in order. There will be changes as to the order of when you head to certain locations, but in general, we do not plan to delete any locations. Phil, Kitase is laughing a lot. Is Kitase all right? Why does it sound like Darth Vader?
Where is Kitase? Is he safe? Is he all right?
I can assure you Kitase is okay. Underappreciated aspect of Nomura is how much he thinks about the fans. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Dude, Nomura is so in touch with the fans, man. Like, look at his interview about the ending of Kingdom Hearts 3. And I won't spoil it for people who haven't played it, but he talks about, like, you know, they knew fans wanted a certain thing to happen so bad that was, like, fairly minor. It didn't really affect the main plot of Kingdom Hearts 3 at all. That they really ended up, like, adding all this extra stuff just for the fans. And they're so in touch with what people want. Again, just because Nomura is not, like, tweeting daily, you know, it doesn't mean that he's not completely in touch with everything that's happening and what the fandom wants. A big old slab of meat on the table with this interview. Yeah, they did. This interview is crazy. We are going everywhere, just not in the same order. Yeah, exactly. So, like, what I really actually think this means is I think it's more going to be stuff like Wutai. You know, like, say with Wutai, you're not going to go, like, the moment you could. You may not, you know, go straight to wherever. You may not go straight to, like, you visit Juneau several times. You might not do those several times in between certain locations. Like, it's not going to be anything major. It's not going to be like, oh, you don't ever go to Cosmo Canyon. Of course they're going to do all the fan favorite stuff. They aren't cutting a thing. Brings me to tears. Yeah, exactly. 4Gamer says, we're excited to show how the game has been changed. To see how the game has been changed and want to play it as soon as possible. Do you have any message for the fans? Saito says, for those who played Crisis Core on the PSP and would like to relive the story, and for those who have never played it before, we have made a lot of improvements so that everyone can enjoy it. Our team is doing our best to deliver this game, so please wait until the game can be released. If you can play the game till the end, it will add to your enjoyment of not only the original, but also FF7R and FF7 Rebirth as well. Please look forward to it. I would like everyone to play Crisis Core, Kitase says, which has Zack's entire story in order to fully understand who exactly is the character Zack who appears in FF7R. Within the Crisis Core story, you will get a better understanding of how exactly it will be connected to FF7 Rebirth, so please check it out. Nomura says there are many who have not played FF7R or played the Crisis Core event in FF7 The First Soldier and wondered who exactly is Zack. By playing 7R, players will understand why exactly those who do know him are so fond of him, why he is special to the story. Zack will also be in FF7 Ever Crisis. When you hear the word FF7, you probably will think of either Cloud or Sephiroth, but Zack is equally important, and I hope that many people will come to realize that as well. Like, it's a game that I probably never would have touched, but now that it has complete different graphics, like, it looks so much better. That is about as ambitious and as complete of a remaster that you could ever ask for. Zack is a key character, but number two, the story will not change, which they've said for the 20th time. The story will not change. It's going to follow the same axis as the word Nomura used from Audrey's translation. And that's an interesting thing, right? Because it makes you think, wait, so the Zack stuff is important, but the story's not going to change. But then they also said the story's the same as Crisis Core, so they won't change it because it's the same. It's like, it seems kind of confusing, but I think what they're saying is pretty much what I've been saying the entire time. The reason this project is so genius and so perfect is we actually get to have our cake and eat it. We get to have a new Final Fantasy VII story. We get to have the remake we always wanted. But it's closing off a lot of these things that were kind of open-ended on it and could have been kind of handled more completely, if you will, in the original and the successive compilation. They're pretty much saying that it is going to hit all the old story beats, all the old locations, but in the same way as Remake, it may not be the exact same way. Like, look at Wall Market. Wall Market is a perfect example. It didn't follow like every, kind of weird, cringe scene. In fact, it cut some of those like strange scenes and replaced them with stuff that was so much better, right? And sort of like the micro of the scenes, like, the details of the scenes. But as a whole, as a large, it covered the exact same content. It did the exact same thing that needed to be done for the plot. So nothing was actually changed with the plot. It was sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not increased, but sort of expanded, imbued with new meaning. FF7 is back in my life. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I keep saying have your cake and eat it. it's quite difficult to do something like this, and I think they really have struck the perfect chord of nostalgia and completely new stuff, you know? There will be similar story beats, but the story won't be exactly the same with Zack being a key character. Yeah, exactly. And then the cool thing with Zack is, what I love about it is they have this mystery. So it's just like I said again, the way they do this, if they're smart, I think I said this on Night Sky Prince and Baby Seal and everybody else's channel, if they're smart, the way they do this is, you do the exact same remake, everybody's favorite scenes redone, but the whole time you have this little extra stuff sprinkled on top to get a little mystery going for us, so we feel like it's a new game, even though it is the old story, and you give us a little bit of extra while retelling the same story. So they're remaking it faithfully, but giving us something new. So it's not just like, oh cool, yeah, there's nothing new to expect. Like, you really get that feeling of playing a new FF7 game, even though it's the game we love and know. That's really cool. Also, Zack Laguna style. Zack Laguna style would be very fun, though I don't think it's necessary for, you know, what they're going for. If that's the choice they make and they want to make it like Laguna style, FF8, that's cool. I guess it's kind of what I've been saying all along. They have proven time and time again that they're just so good at doing this, and they lovingly craft like every single part of this with such attention to detail and such respect for the source material and for the fans, that I can't be pressed to not have faith in them. I just can't, no matter what people say, no matter what like kind of, you know, outlandish sort of fears people bring up or create. I can't be pressed to not have faith. Fair, just hope we get Zack and Cloud versus Sephiroth for a final battle at the end. I know, a pipe dream. I wouldn't say it's a pipe dream for me, flop game. That would be interesting in some context, but I also love the story of as it is. So it sounds like that's probably not going to happen. If anything, they could do like an Advent Children type thing, right? Or if you think about it, Zack kind of helps him a little bit, but it's not like, you know, a 2v1. Though that would be epic. Like anything they do has been done very well. So I mean, it's funny when you said that, and I know Max Dude has talked about this as well. It makes you think of the Crisis Core scene with Genesis, the 2v1, Genesis and Jill versus Sephiroth. That was awesome. Can you imagine the choreography if they were to redo something like that? So I'm not opposed to anything, but I personally hope that we're surprised no matter what they do. I will say though, Zack is probably not strong enough to take on Sephiroth at his like, you know, at his sort of chaos. So if Zack becomes a lot stronger as far as power scaling is concerned, we'll be good. But I'm telling you guys, Sephiroth versus an army of Shinra and a few helicopters and stuff like that, Sephiroth solos the entire army, absolutely no problem, and does not break a sweat. He's absolutely terrifying, especially post meteor, like, you know, memories discarded, like god tier Sephiroth. There's no way Zack can touch him. So that'd be a very interesting fight to see those two battle. So again, that's what I've been saying since day one. Everybody who's like, they changed the entire story, I'm like, name one scene that was changed. They just did all the scenes and gave you an extra scene, right? No changes actually happened. And I mean to say by that, people who assume, they're like, oh, now we don't fight Sephiroth at the end, we already fought him. It's like, who said that? You're making stuff up. You're crazy. You never fight Sephiroth 1v1 like that as a human in the game. So.
Oh
my god. No, I'm so sorry if you hear screams of terror. Oh my god, dude, Aaliyah, anybody play Minecraft? Aaliyah is in the netherworld right now. I mean, Kitase. Kitase is in the netherworld. Heal, quick, heal, eat. Kitase, eat, god dang it. Eat a carrot. Eat another one. So Kitase literally just pulled a Zack. Literally solos an entire army of piglin cowards with crossbows. Kitase solos is canon. What they do in Remake is, we'll probably see Vincent's backstory. That concludes most of the new info. This is super exciting. I personally can't wait. I think from what they've seen, everything is just, like, I am so comforted by this interview, man. And it seems like, and again, it seems selfish, right? Because they're doing exactly what I wanted, it sounds like. But yes, that's my basic thoughts on it. They're going to add new stuff, new mysteries to solve, but give us the same stuff that we love, which is exactly what they did with Remake. So I expect more of the same. That's been my sort of theory, if you will, all along, and it seems to be happening. If there's a big takeaway from today's discussion, it's that I won't see Kitase in the same way again. Exactly. Make sure to spread that info too, you know? Man, Phil's stream went so hard. He had Kitase playing Minecraft with him, talking about FF7.